You're listening to Brainbusta Radio.
Hey, yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J. Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J. Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? This is Wrestling Reverb. I am Josh, and last week he was gone. He is back this week. It is the one and only Kevin. Kevin, how you doing?
Good. I'm glad to be back. I regrettably had to miss last week's episode. I hate to have to do that, but I'm back now, and I am ready to go. Yeah,
it was last week. It was okay. I was having a shitty time last week, as you can imagine. Of course, the Iconics last week dropped the tag team championships. It was a rough time, but hey.
Thoughts and prayers.
Hey, yeah. It's alright. Onwards and upwards. Because this week in wrestling has been, well, these last few days. I say this week, but you know what I mean. This, past week. Last few days of wrestling has been wild, which we'll get into in a second. First and foremost, I do want to touch base with some BBR stuff, because we've got the Summerslam, the big BBR TV official launch, coming up on August 24th at 3 p.m. Eastern. It begins in the States time. It begins at 4:30 in the morning for me, which I'm going to be committed to. I'm going to be up and I'm going to be here for every minute of that 8-hour stream, but it is going to be really fun. The whole team's a part of it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm ending the stream with some games. Just trying to break up the stream a little bit, and anyone that wants to join in on the call from the BBR team is more than welcome to join in, chat along, talk some wrestling. So we are going to have a lot of fun with the summer stream. We've all been just excited to really get this going. As you know, Kev, being a part of the BBR group chat, we got a lot of stuff planned, which we're not going to spoil for you guys, but we do have a lot of stuff planned for it.
Yo, my God, yeah. This has been a long time coming. This has been in the works for months. This has been in the works since really BBR started, and to see it come to fruition now is going to be super cool. Yeah,
it's been a ride, and it's going to be cool to kind of get there and get this going, and then BBR TV will be kind of officially, constantly moving, because we've done stuff on there before, with Queen, Talk at Tuesdays, and I've done the BBR TV Sims for the pay-per-views and stuff like that, but it's going to be a constant moving machine. I'll just quickly say, the simulation I did for Summerslam last week was easily my best simulation that I've produced and actually, put out to anybody. We had, at one point in the stream, we actually had, a lot of people watching at the same time, which is really cool, and it's really cool to see work pay off in some way, so I'm pretty much all systems are going with every pay-per-view for BBR TV will be simming in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, we got the summer stream coming up at the end of next week, so we got some things going on with there. We've just been really moving along with some stuff lately. It's really fun to just be a part of and just kind of watch it grow, because we've come a long way from the launch of Brainbusta Radio back in, April 1st it was. It seems longer than that, but we've only been going for, 5 months? 6 months? How long is that? I don't know, 4 months? I don't even know how long it's been, but it's just fun. It's just fun to do, so, hey, we got a lot of cool stuff planned, so strap into that, because it's going to be super, super fun. Just go to Brainbusta Radio on Twitter, or Brainbusta TV on Twitter, and you'll find out all the details that you need to find out. But I'm not going to waste any more time with getting to what we need to get to, because we got a lot to cover from this week of wrestling. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start at Takeover Toronto. Going into Takeover is always just... Here's the thing with NXT Takeovers is that you'll agree with me on this, Kev. I know you'll agree with me. The expectations for Takeovers are high, and 99% of the time they always meet expectations pretty much across the board. I know that you know what I thought was the match of the night for that show. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I do honestly think that Candice LeRae and Io, other than the main event with which we knew was going to be amazing, Candice and Io really just went out there and put on a barn burner. That was so fun, that match. What did you like about Takeover? What did you think about it in general and the matches that you kind of liked?
I liked it. I mean, I don't think it was one of the stronger takeovers, but even one of the even a weaker takeover is still a really good show. And I agree with you 100%. I loved Candice and Io. I thought it was so good. I thought it showcased both women's strengths so much. I thought it was, like you said, a barn burner. It was a great match. I was on the fence the whole time about who was going to win. Back and forth, didn't know who was going to win. I actually picked Candice LeRae to win, so I was wrong, and that sucks, but it happens. I loved Cole Gargano, as I'm sure everybody did.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the tag team title match too.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was a fun open. The Street Profits are just a lot of fun. It goes to show them as a team. For me, originally, I didn't really like the Street Profits. I was like, this is a lot, and I'm not really enjoying it. But I've grown to like them. I've really grown to love them. They're just a lot of fun. They bring the party. They bring the swag, as it says in their theme music. But yeah, that match was a lot of fun. The triple threat was fun. The only match that didn't click for me was the NXT Women's Title match. The crowd at that point, it almost felt... Mia Yim, no disrespect to Mia Yim, she's a really good worker, but something doesn't click for me with her as a face. It doesn't... I'm not talking about the cheating and stuff like that. That's fine, because I understand that's a part of her character, but it seemed that something didn't click for me, but something also didn't click for Toronto, because it seemed like they were kind of lost on who to cheer for in that match.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, after, the run of contenders we've had to the NXT Women's Championship, for me personally, it didn't feel like Mia Yim really stacked up.
Yeah.
I didn't believe her as a credible contender, and maybe that's because I've been a little tuned out on NXT TV, but I just didn't buy her as someone that could feasibly take the belt off of Shayna Baszler, so I was a little tapped out during that match, honestly. And it came after the triple threat, right?
Yeah, it was straight after that match.
And that match was a hot one that took a lot out of the crowd, so they probably weren't going to be as invested in the women's championship match as they could have been. But yeah, I'm with you. I wasn't crazy about the women's title match. It was fine. It wasn't like bad. There are no bad matches at Takeover.
No, it wasn't bad. I liked the finish. I really loved the finish to that match because it made sense. It was like, why would she use her, the arm that Mia's been working on to use it? She'd use her legs and essentially win in a different way. I liked the Code Red off the top rope. That was cool. But nothing really else stood out to me. Again, the crowd were just not disinterested, they were just disconnected from it. The triple threat, what did you think about the triple threat match? I had really high hopes going into that. I don't know if it necessarily lived up to my expectations because I had them so high. Certainly was very good, but I don't know, how did you feel about that match?
I liked it. I thought it was very good. 3 talented performers just going at it to the best of their ability. What's not to like, right? I think that maybe people got it in their head that this match was going to be like the best match of the night, going to be absolutely crazy. I didn't think of it like that. I thought, it's going to be a good way for everyone to showcase their strengths, and I think Velveteen, Dawn, and Roderick all did that. I'm surprised Velveteen retained. I didn't think he was going to retain. I thought Roderick Strong was going to get the win. I guess we haven't started seeing the Undisputed Era draped in gold yet. I do have a feeling that's going to happen at some point where I think Roddy's going to win that belt, and I think the Undisputed Era are going to win the tag belts. But it didn't start last night. I mean, Saturday night. Cole retained, but the Undisputed Era took 2 L's.
Yeah, I mean, let's not waste any more time talking about the main event because it was very good. Obviously, we knew that going into that, it was going to be good. It was just, I feel like going into that, we obviously knew what they did 2 times beforehand. So it was just not of it going to be good, it was how good is this going to be. And it was wild. Of course, we all built to the third fall. And that kind of, with the weapons in the cage and that has a lot of room to go really cheesy. And it didn't. And it was fine. The finish was great. All the spots in it. The only thing that irked me about that match was I thought that they had thumbtacks in that bag, and it wasn't thumbtacks. And I was like, oh, shit. I thought it was thumbtacks, and I built myself up to it, but it was just like tools to cut the barbed wire. But it was, my God, it was just, all jokes aside, it was just brutal. And it went for nearly an hour, I think.
It did. It went for about 59 minutes.
Damn, that is, you don't really see a lot of matches in WWE now that go for that long and that can sustain that level of greatness for that long. Because that's a long, I know there's bits in between. Of course, there's, stops and starts, but that's a long time to go out there and, hold a crowd of 13, 14, 15,000 people in a crowd interested for the whole time. Because they were not disconnected from that match at all.
I know, that's just a testament to how good Cole and Gargano are. They could hold you for that long. It was just absolutely fantastic, mesmerizing match. Now the question is, which one of the trilogy was the best? And I honestly couldn't tell you that right now. I'd have to go back and watch the first 2 matches. I
would too, because I think I've only watched them once or twice. I've certainly only watched Takeover Toronto once. So, I don't know. I don't know, because I could probably give you a different answer every time I watched one of them. I'd be like, that one's the best. No, that one's the best. No, that one's the best. Because they're all great for different reasons, really. So, yeah, I'm the same as you. I'd have to go back and actually watch these first 2 again. Watch the latest one again to be like, what really is the best? Man, they just have great matches. Where we go next, who knows? But, wherever Cole goes next is going to be fun. I don't think there's another takeover until Survivor Series weekend now, so would that be right, or would there be one in October? I'm not sure.
It'll probably be Survivor Series weekend.
So we've got till November. We've got a few months now to get to another takeover, which isn't a complaint. I like. How do you feel about takeover spacing? Do you think that there's 5 in a year? That's enough, yeah. Yeah,
I think 5 is fine. I would be fine with 4. I kind of like the 5th, though, around Money in the Bank time.
Yeah.
But...
Well, Money in the Bank really, to me, is like if there was there's the Big 4 pay-per-view. If there was a Big 5 pay-per-views, Money in the Bank would be the 5th.
Yeah, it has that feel to it. Like, that whole weekend feels special.
Yeah.
And I think that the takeovers are just fine the way they are. I wouldn't want any more, because it allows for really great storytelling in the interim.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. But overall, I thought TakeOver was pretty good. Again, I agree with you. I don't think it was like the strongest TakeOver ever. Certainly was still good. I can confidently say that there's never been a TakeOver where I've been like, that was bad. There's never been, there's been 26 TakeOvers. That's a pretty good track record to say, okay, that one wasn't better than this one, but it's still definitely not bad.
Yeah, they've gone 26 for 26, which is so impressive.
Yeah, you can't really say that about... Really, in any form of entertainment, there's not something that happens 26 times, that 26 times it's been good. So, props to them, props to the talent, props to NXT in general. NXT is just a lovely, it's just amazing. NXT is just great. Moving along to SummerSlam... I went into SummerSlam fairly excited for SummerSlam. We've kind of talked about the fact that we feel like WWE's hitting a lot of not maybe home runs, but they've got some momentum with a lot of good stories in the past month or two, and going into SummerSlam, that's what you want. And I was going into that show with, I wouldn't say high expectations, but I certainly have a level of expectations of like, I'm excited for this. This could be really fun. Becky and Natty went on first, and the reason I'm bringing up Becky and Natty, it was a submission match. It was in Toronto. How do you feel about the crowd reception to both of those ladies? Because it seemed like maybe at the start that I thought it was either going to be 50-50 with, obviously Canada, Natty. I thought we were either going to 50-50 or more towards Natty. But it seemed like at the start, I don't know if I was just hearing things, Natty got kind of a negative reception.
It's that's what happens when you run up against the man.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they both turned it around to the point where they were both getting cheered because the match was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's all I can say is that's what happens when you go up against Becky Lynch. That just proves how hot she still is, that she could turn Canada against Natty.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, out of all of the matches, well, not maybe all of them, for the majority of the matches, that was one that I really didn't have the highest expectations of because I'm not really a huge fan of submission matches personally. It's just a me thing. I don't think they're bad. I just don't love them. But if you're gonna have a submission match, this is one way to frickin' do it. Like, they went out. I didn't think it would open, but it's the going back and watching now. You're like, that is the perfect match to kind of open with to start the crowd off. You know, relatively hot and not something to drain the crowd because while it was good, it didn't go out there and drain the crowd for the rest of the show, which is what you want from an opener.
Yeah, no, it was really good in its spot. It did exactly what it needed to do, and it was really good. I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah, me too. Another match that I really enjoyed for different reasons was Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. Now, I know watching SmackDown this week, it didn't really change maybe a hell of a lot in terms of, you know, we're still going to see Shane on TV. Yes, okay, it is what it is. I'm not personally fussed with it because I like heel authority figures and he does it well, but that's a story for another day. The match itself, I think the crowd made the match. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, when you look at it on paper, the match wasn't that special, but Jesus, that crowd was hot.
They were here for Owens, and I mean, I was too. I wanted it. You know, I loved the shenanigans. I knew that match was going to be full of shenanigans. Let's be honest. Like, going into that on everything on the show, you're like, this is going to have some shenanigans. Shane's going to use his power for some reason, in some fashion, I should say, with Elias being, you know, the enforcer or whatever the fuck he was, and he had, you know, chairs and telling him to hit it. I thought it was all cool stuff. The crowd were very much eating out the palm of the hands of creative in that situation. Everything was just, you could write that nearly, you know, shot by shot and be like, this is exactly how we want you to react, and they kind of did. And that's not a knock. That's a good thing. You want television like that. I just thought it was really fun. A really fun match. I thought the right person won, and it just... Yeah. We move along with Shane and Owens. I think that will be continuing for at least the foreseeable future. So we'll see what goes on there. Trish and Charlotte. Oh, man, did that exceed my expectations. I thought that match would be good, but I didn't realize it was going to be that good. That match was damn great. Like, nearly the match of the weekend for me in for a lot of different reasons, but they just, man oh man, they had some incredible chemistry between the two. B, it's a test to not only Trish and Charlotte having chemistry, but a test to the fact that Trish Stratus had not wrestled a singles match, since 2011. The last singles match that Trish Stratus had was against Vicky Guerrero, and she lost to Vicky Guerrero. I mean, there was shenanigans, but that's not the point. 2011, how long, what's that? 8 years since Trish Stratus had wrestled a singles match, and it looked like she certainly hadn't missed a beat. She was crisp, everything flowed. Charlotte Flair played her part perfectly. Trish played her part perfectly. The figure eight from Trish and the Hurricane Runner everything in that match was just, I can near dare say that they would have had the vision for that match, and it's perfectly how they envisioned it. Because that match was damn near perfect. I can't really think of any flaws in that match.
I had this, I don't know, this match, for expectations wise for me, I wasn't sure what to think about this match going in, mainly because of Trish.
Yeah.
You know, she hasn't wrestled a singles match in 8 years, and even then, that was like a one-off singles match, so she really hadn't wrestled full-time in like 12 years.
Yeah.
But, goddamn, did she prove me wrong. She went out there, hadn't lost a step. Really hit all the classics. You got all the classic moves. You got Stratisfaction. You put her in. You put her in the figure eight, which is a great little way to pop the crowd. Have Charlotte maybe possibly tap out to her on hold. Obviously, it wasn't going to happen. Obviously, Charlotte got the win, which is the right call.
Yeah.
But what a great match. What an expectations exceeder for me.
Yeah, I think that's why it was like you can go into a match with expectations, and if they meet them or exceed them, you're like, okay, great. But if you go into a match going, I really don't know what to expect. I knew the crowd would be hot for it. I knew it would be like a fun match going into it, but I didn't realize it was going to be, a great wrestling match as it was. Trish Stratus is, I believe, 43 years old, still wrestles like she's in her 20s. She's still, going into this match, like Trish was saying, it's her final match. This is it. To be honest, what a perfect way to go out. Now seeing the match, you're like, what a farewell. Like, if that truly is Trish Stratus' last match, which I think it actually is, at least in the terms of like a big deal, maybe like a fun little match, tag match here and there of just like novelty kind of, nostalgia kind of wrestling. But as an actual wrestling match, Trish Stratus' final match, that's a pretty damn good way to go out. And that just shows you that, all the people that were maybe saying like, Trish was in a time where they didn't really, necessarily have the kind of athletes they do now in the women's division and the time they get now, which, okay, you say what you want, but Trish Stratus kind of went, fuck you, I can do exactly what these girls are doing now and make it 100% Stratisfaction guaranteed, I guess. Yeah, see? I'm not just here for my looks. Another SummerSlam was, we are going to get to it, don't worry. We are going to talk about the thing that's probably weighing on everybody's mind in just a second, but I'm saving it for the very last thing of SummerSlam we talk about. How'd you feel about Seth winning?
I think it's going to be good in the long run. I know there were a lot of people that were actually unhappy with it, which is crazy because, we all hate Lesnar, but then we don't hate Lesnar. And then we want Lesnar to be champion, but then we don't want him to be champion, or we don't like Rollins, and we don't want him to be champion. I think it's good in the long run. I think having the belt on Raw, I think Lesnar's going to take an extended break here. Having the belt on Raw is good. I think that's common sense. That having the belt around someone's waist who's going to be on TV every week is a good thing. Rollins, I've never lost faith in him, even though some have. I still enjoy watching his matches. I still think he's a credible champion, and I'm excited to see where he goes next with the belt. I believe there was I could be wrong about this. I believe there was a tease on Raw with Strowman.
Kind of. I actually, for the first time in years, have not watched Raw this week. I only watched segments. There's some other stuff going on, and I just could not get to my television to watch Raw, and I was just, by the time that I had read Raw and then seen it, I was like, I just don't have time for this, I'm just going to watch what I need to on YouTube. But, Braun, I believe there was some kind of tease, there's some stuff going on with AJ and Braun as well, so there's something going on there, so we'll see what happens there. Now, the actual match itself, I first and foremost, going into the match, I was on the side of, I don't know if I want to see Seth as champion again. Coming out of the match, I was very much, I'm glad that Seth Rollins won. Because that match, as opposed to their WrestleMania match, was a damn fine match. And it was a really good main event, too. Like, it was a good kind of finish for the pay-per-view. And I actually thought it was a genuinely great match.
Yeah, it was good, and they got the difference between obviously this match and the WrestleMania match was time. They actually had time to go out and put on a wrestling match as opposed to the little sprint that we got at WrestleMania. And both guys got to do their stuff. Obviously, Lesnar matches have a pretty simple blueprint: F5, German suplex, German suplex, German suplex. It's all about what the other competitor brings to the table in a Brock Lesnar match. And Rollins, he did a lot of great things. He, the frog splash to the outside, 3 stomps. He He even if you were on the fence about Rollins before the match, you weren't by the end of the match. Just like you said earlier, you weren't sure about him as a champion, but by the end of the match, you were. That's the testament to how good Rollins is as a babyface, to where he gets you invested in himself. He makes you want him to win.
Yeah, it is a testament to that's a good babyface, because it's hard to be a babyface in 2019. It is. Unless you've got an edge to you, it's hard to be, no pun intended, edge, because we'll talk about that in a minute. But it is hard, unless you're edgy, it's hard to be just a happy-go-lucky, I'm here to do the right thing babyface in 2019, because you'll get eaten alive. Because that's not what the world likes anymore. The world likes people that are kind of rough around the edges and do a little bit, maybe like not a non-PC, but just like just in a bit of an edgy way. That people like that. I like that. I'm sure you like that too, Kevin. So, I mean, It's hard to be just I'm here to do the right thing kind of babyface anymore. And to a certain degree, Seth has an edge, but Seth is essentially just a white meat babyface. Really, he is. He is just, he's like here to do the right thing and take down the big bad evil Brock Lesnar. That's what Seth was here to do. So, I mean, it's hard to be that in this day and age, but if Seth does that well, although Seth's an incredible heel, let's not get anyone wrong, Seth is also a pretty damn good babyface, and like you said, it's a testament to him, for someone like me watching it and going, hey, he turned my idea around, and I'm happy that Seth won this match. We'll talk about how cool was it to see Edge do a spear. I mean, that was probably the biggest moment of the weekend for me, just in terms of like, Edge was there, and it was like, cool, hey, it's Edge. I legitimately stood up, and I was like, hey, yeah, hell yeah, it's Edge. Then when he did a spear, I was like, oh my god, Edge hasn't done a spear in so long, because we didn't think he could do a spear anymore. Like, wasn't, allowed to do any kind of wrestling move anymore. I understand it's pretty easy, safe move probably to do, but Edge did a spear, and that's pretty damn cool.
It was awesome. I originally didn't, because I didn't watch it live, and I didn't watch the pre-show at first, and then I realized that Edge was there, and I was like, "Oh shit!" So I had to go back and watch it. Awesome moment. God, it feels good to see Edge on TV, and obviously it's a one-off thing. It's not like he's going to be back for good. He can't be, but just to see him on TV, to know that he's in good spirits, in good health, and taking out Elias, which I think everyone should have a chance to do at some point in their career. Just awesome moment.
Really, just really fun stuff. I just enjoyed that. And it's cool for the kickoff to get like a cool little, moment. And Alexa Bliss on the kickoff, dressed up like Buzz Lightyear. I can't hate that, even if she was going against the Iconics. I was like, hell yeah, Alexa Bliss is Buzz Lightyear. She did like the buzz thing with the, the chum chum. Everyone knows what I'm talking about with the arm and the I love Toy Story, so cool little moment there. I think, not to stick on this topic for too long, but I actually think that the women, like Bliss and Nikki as the women's tag team championships, is the best thing to happen to those championships since the championships were started. Because I think they're going to take them to a different... Hey, the last 2 weeks and a pay-per-view, the women's tag team titles have been on TV. That's something you can't say for since Mania, really, since the Iconics won them. So I think Bliss and Nikki are the right fit for those tag team titles, but I digress. Kofi and Randy was fine. Obviously, they're continuing onto some stuff. Some people weren't happy with the finish of that match. I didn't mind it. It showed a different side to Kofi, because while Kofi's definitely not getting booed, or definitely people aren't turning on him, if Kofi continues to be that white meat babyface, then that could get... people will start to turn on Kofi Kingston. Not me personally. I like Kofi, and I've absolutely loved his time as champion. I think he's being a great champion. But I didn't have a problem with the finish of that match. It kind of broke up the card, to be honest, a little bit.
Yeah, it's a feud furtherer. You like to think that a pay per view like SummerSlam is a feud ender, like a WrestleMania type thing, but that's very rarely the case. Just because it's a big pay per view doesn't mean it has to have like finality to all the feuds.
Yeah.
Kofi and Randy will go on, which I think is good for business. I think it's a good feud people are invested in. I understand why people don't like the end of the match because they want to see a clean finish, but you can't have every match go that way.
No.
So
Get boring.
I'm not. Yeah, right? It would be. So I'm not surprised that something had to end this way. I was maybe a little surprised it was Kofi and Orton, but I'm also happy it was because I think Kofi and Orton is a good feud that can go on for a while, maybe even extend towards Hell in a Cell. That's a different side of Kofi we would see. Kofi in the Hell in a Cell match. I know we saw New Day in the Hell in a Cell with the Usos, but this would be a different side of Kofi to see if you walk into Hell in a Cell with Randy Orton. That's a whole different animal.
Yeah. That I think it could easily go to there. And I wouldn't count out Randy winning the title either because you can't count Randy Orton out. To be completely honest, but
Absolutely.
I thought there was some cool spots in that match. Obviously, the RKO was cool, which is pretty standard for Orton these days, which isn't a bad thing. It's just Orton does something cool with the RKO, and hey, it was cool. Let's not waste any more time here with SummerSlam, and let's talk about the Fiend, because my good fucking god, was that the coolest. I'm not even kidding. I've watched that entrance alone and the match many times over. That is probably the coolest debut, whatever you want to call it, quote unquote debut, maybe I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding.
It was creepy as shit.
It was like if I was a child watching that entrance, I would be scared. And that's a hard thing to do when WWE is a family friendly with I put family friendly in kind of a weird bubble. It's like family friendly with an edge, but it's still a family orientated show where a lot of their audience is children. Having a man walk out with a decapitated head as a lantern is pretty intense, and trying to break Finn's neck and everything in the match. Let's talk about, before we get to the match, let's talk about that damn music, because that song is incredible. It's obviously a remix of Bray's old music, which is, when you think about it, is like, what storytelling in just a piece of music. I like that. The best part about like his music and his persona is that he's still Bray Wyatt. It's not like it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick change, but it's not like he's still that persona of Bray Wyatt. It is very like how do I describe it? It's like, you know how Mick Foley is all the the three faces of Foley, but you still know it's Mick Foley. It's like Bray Wyatt is the Fiend, and he's Bray Wyatt, and he's the Firefly Funhouse Bray. This is really freaking cool. Am I overhyping this?
No, it was probably the best part of the whole show.
Yep.
It was just oh my god. I was watching this on mute at my job.
Wow.
And I was like, I was working, I was working and watching. When I saw that lantern head, I stopped working. I was like, holy shit. Like, what are we getting here? And I didn't hear the music till later on, but the music is really good. But then when the mask, I think, is perfect. And then when he snapped Finn's neck, I almost jumped out of my chair.
Yeah.
It's like, what are the odds you were going to see something like that? That's crazy.
Absolutely. Go on.
It was just, the match itself was like exactly what it needed to be.
Yes, I agree. So, I was watching SummerSlam with 3 other people, and we did not talk during Bray Wyatt's entrance. We didn't talk. We were just kind of like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. It's very rare, not just in WWE, in wrestling in general, when something is genuinely cool. And that seems genuinely cool. Like, do you know, like, there's always going to be times, no matter how much we love wrestling and no matter how much we're willing to talk about wrestling with people, there's always going to be a certain embarrassment level when you show certain things to people that don't understand wrestling. You're like, oh God, like, there's always that time where something comes on and you're like, I can't explain this. I'm pretty confident that if I showed that, maybe even just the entrance of Bray Wyatt to a non-wrestling fan, it would maybe not be cool to them, but they would go, holy shit, this is pretty creepy. It would register inside their brain to go, I get why Josh over here is in love with this, because that, I can see why that's cool. There's no embarrassment level to me showing that to somebody. It's creepy. It's got like a horror kind of deal to it. It's got an edginess. It's got a coolness. It's got a very 2019 feel to it, if anyone understands what I mean by that. Not like hip and cool, I mean like, is in the sense of what the world is kind of, look at all the entertainment and all the pop culture that we love in a lot of ways. American Horror Story and 13 Reasons Why. Very dark kind of entertainment. And that, the Fiend is dark and he's mysterious and he's creepy and he's scary and he's got so many different layers. He's so complex. I loved every moment of that, from the start of it to the music to the match to the little ending sequence out of the match. The commentators sold the shit out of that. Renee Corey and Michael Cole did a very good job at selling that as something to be scared of, which is not something that people really tend to think about. I thought about that. The second or third time I watched that match and that entrance, I was just listening to the commentators' reaction, because they were like, what the fuck is this? And Finn, Finn, to me, was the perfect first opponent for the Fiend. If you look at Finn's emotions and Finn's reactions to everything, the camera panned to Finn after the lights went back on, and his face was basically what we were all doing, like, oh, what the hell is that? And then the match did what it did. Finn got a little bit in and, lost to the Mandible Claw. Finn played the perfect role in that match. It wasn't 100% because of just how cool Bray was. Finn played the perfect, adversary to Bray in that situation. They have literally got lightning in a bottle with this character, and I love the fact that he wasn't on Raw and SmackDown. Let's not overexpose this. Let's have this feel really special, so when we see this, we genuinely are aching to see the Fiend.
I agree. I think this is special. Mm-hmm. You don't get special too often in wrestling, and what they have here is special. They can't overexpose it. They can't mess it up. They just have to let it go and let it breathe and let it flow as it could, and they're gonna have something super, 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 super special on their hands.
Oh yeah, leave us wanting more. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think that's the perfect way to explain it with the Fiend and Bray. You know what? There's obviously ways you can fuck it up, but I don't think there's too many ways you can fuck this up, because this. And I know we say that a lot in wrestling, of this character's great and this could really be something different. This genuinely feels different. I can't really relate this to another time in wrestling where it'd be like, yeah, this could legitimately, I feel like this character could become the most over character on the show. Genuinely.
I agree. I think it might already be.
It might be. It stole the weekend. And it wasn't even the match that stole the weekend. Well, the match was fine. It wasn't that the match was bad. It was just that whole segment of the show of SummerSlam was just literally, I don't say this ever in wrestling, was perfect. It was perfect. Nothing I would change about that. There's nothing. I had no words after that. I was just looking around and everyone was just looking at me like, holy fuck, like, that was cool. Everything about it. And man, oh man, was that just home run to the max. That was just, it is out of here. It's gone. Like, man, just such cool stuff. Whoever is behind that, I want to give the biggest hug in the world to, because you just made my viewing of wrestling very, very enjoyable. There's not too much I can say that I genuinely enjoyed more than that, just as a whole. SummerSlam overall, I thought was pretty damn good, though.
Yeah, it was a good show. The WWE is really hitting the mark with their pay-per-views over
Yeah.
the last couple of months. And Survivor Series is one that's always going to have to hit a big mark. But I think it did.
Yeah, no, it was just, man, it's just, cool stuff. WWE are really good with their pay-per-views as of late. Well, not even as of late. It's been like a good chunk of time where they're just like genuinely having good pay-per-views. And Raw and SmackDown have been really good for the last couple of months as well. So let's just have more of this. Moving into Raw, a couple things I want to touch on. First and foremost, the King of the Ring is coming back next week. Now, for anyone that maybe is a little younger, the King of the Ring is a 16 to 32 person tournament. This year it's going to be 16 people. Single elimination, the winner is the King of the Ring. I don't think you actually get anything for being the King of the Ring. I don't know if that was ever a thing. Maybe I'm just making that up in my head. But did the King of the Ring winner receive a title shot of some kind back in the Disney? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they they do now, dude. They never said this year that they
No,
were.
they don't. They don't now. When's the last time we did it? Like 2015.
Wade Barrett.
Oh, that was that recently. Gee, I forgot about Wade Barrett.
But before that, it was like 2011, maybe? Sheamus won, didn't he?
Yeah, King Sheamus. I know William Regal won it one year.
I think it was Regal, Sheamus, Barrett. So there's only been 3 since, the actual pay-per-views of King of the Ring and stuff like that. Like Lesnar and Edge, Stone Cold, Bret Hart. The list goes on.
Billy Gunn.
Hey, look at that. You know your shit, Kev. King of the Ring in general, though. I'm glad it's coming back. I have my, I don't know. It'll be fine, and I don't know. We've got 16 competitors in it. I don't know. What do you think about the whole concept of King of the Ring? Do you like that it's back?
Yeah, I love King of the Ring. I love tournament wrestling. And that's, that's evidenced by the fact that we're just getting through the G1. Tournament, I think that may have something to do with the timing of this. I think that they're trying to capitalize on that tournament wave. But it's going to be fun. You have 16 world-class competitors in there. There's not a bad name in the bunch.
No, so I've got the entrance here. So we've got Ali, Andrade, Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, Buddy Murphy, Cedric Alexander, Cesaro, Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, Elias, The Miz, Kevin Owens, Ricochet, Sami Zayn, Shelton Benjamin, and Samoa Joe. So it is 16 very, very, very good in-ring competitors. So it's definitely not bad. So it's being confirmed that it will take place on Raw and SmackDown, and the finals will take place at Clash of Champions. So, it's going to be the next month that we're going through this King of the Ring tournament, which is cool. It gives us something. It gives us a reason to watch television, I guess. So, and it gives us a reason to it gives the guys a reason to be wrestling. Out of those names, can you give me an early pick?
Yeah, I could. I think this tournament and the King of the Ring gimmick is tailor-made for Baron Corbin.
Ooh.
I think he would be perfect as the winner. And it gives him something to do because he's someone that you want on TV because he's a heat magnet. But they haven't had him ever since Extreme Rules. He's really been like sort of not a focus. I think he has to be a focus of your TV show. I think this is the perfect way to do it. Make him the king.
You're going Baron? I'm going to go... I'm going with King Sami Zayn.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to go Sami Zayn. I mean, there's obviously a lot of names in there that you could be like King Drew. Owens could do it. I mean, Owens is one. Who knows? Maybe Shelton Benjamin will win. I'm glad that Shelton Benjamin's in there because that man is criminally underused. He is so freaking good. Can you remember those days of Shelton Benjamin? Well, you weren't watching in 2004, but I'm sure you've watched many Shelton Benjamin matches. He was like the guy. He was like the breakout guy he beat Triple H, for crying out loud, and no one beat Triple H in 2003 and 2004. So My God, I'm glad that Shelton's in there. Chad Gable is getting an opportunity in there. Buddy Murphy. Man, we'll talk about Buddy Murphy when we talk about SmackDown in a minute. But King of the Ring's back. I'm excited for it. It's just something different. Which, in tournament wrestling, like you said, is a lot of fun. Something else that we need to touch on from Raw. A certain lady returned on Monday Night Raw for the first time since WrestleMania 35. The boss is back. Sasha Banks returning to Raw and just beating the absolute shit out of Natalya and the man, Becky Lynch. We're going with the man and the boss. We've seen their matches in the past. If you look back to NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, I believe that was the one. Man,
what
was
that was.
What an... it's not talked about enough, that match, because of all the other matches that kind of surrounded it, and the next match that kind of took place at the next TakeOver with Banks and Bayley being as amazing as it was. Becky and Sasha was so damn good. It was a good, like, in-the-ring wrestling match. They told a story with the wrestling moves that they were doing. It was just a very good match, so I'm excited. And especially in this day and age, they've evolved so much. Both of them have evolved so much from 2015 when they went... And I know they had matches on the main roster in, when it was that 3-team stuff. But they really haven't worked at this level ever, really. So... And it's cool to see Sasha Banks as a heel. I'm so glad they brought her back as a heel, because that's the best version of Sasha Banks. I've said that. I know I've been a little bit hard on Sasha Banks since WrestleMania, because I just think, not that I was saying that any of that stuff was true. I actually don't think it was true. Just the way we went about things was weird, and just the kind of social media took over on that. But I wasn't the biggest fan of her cryptic shit that she put on Twitter. But hey, it's all built to this. It's all built to this moment. What a moment it was. She got a monstrous reaction. I'm excited for Becky and her to kind of be the feud that Becky's needed since WrestleMania. Becky has not had... I know
it's going to be so good.
It really, really is, because there's the promos, the build-up, the match itself, it's all going to be great, and I think this can be lengthy. I think we can actually have a feud that we can sink our teeth into with Becky and Sasha. So... Man, and she's got blue hair, and I guess blue hair signifies that you're evil. So that's kind of cool. She took off the pink wig. It was a bad wig, by the way. No offense to whoever the wig lady was, but it wasn't a great wig. But hey, cool moment. Cool moment. It was literally got me excited, because she took off her fake weave to show her other, I guess, fake weave to a certain degree. And just showed this different side of her. And vicious. She beat the crap out of her. Did you see that video that plastered around on the internet of her cracking Becky Lynch in the back of the head with one of those shots? Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Woo! That was nasty.
WWE is better when Sasha Banks is here. She's so talented. She's gonna have a chance to show us all what we may have forgotten about in her absence. She's so damn good in the ring.
She really is. Something that opened my eyes up, I seen a tweet, and I don't know who it was from, so I apologize because I can't give you credit. But, so, I know that I was a little bit critical of the way that Sasha kind of just kind of distanced herself from the company, and I was like, oh, I don't like people doing that. And a lot of people were on the same side as I was, is like, dumb, like, it's just, you shouldn't ever do that to whatever. And then someone, opened my eyes to this, and it kind of turned me on the fact that I was like that, and I was kind of knocking myself for ever saying stuff about Sasha. So there's been people in the past that have walked away from WWE for different reasons. Austin, Punk, just to name a few. And a lot of people, well, Stone Cold especially, people love. They love him. And I'm sure when he was going through all this stuff, if the internet was as big as it is now, they'd be like, oh, it's all right, Austin, do what's best for you. Punk, do what's best for you. With Sasha, it seemed to be a little bit like 70-30 in like, she's a sook. She's a little, like, she's whining. Like, oh my God, you lost your titles and you ran away. It's like, You didn't say that about, like, Punk, and you don't say that about, like, Austin and other people that have walked out at different times, but you say that about Sasha. And I was just like, I feel bad for ever saying anything about it, because, if she didn't go away, you wouldn't have had this cool moment in Toronto on Raw, and it was just unwarranted. I'm a fan of the boss. I always have been a fan of Sasha. Don't get me wrong. I think she's an incredible worker, and she has a lot to give. And as a heel, like I said before, I think this is where she's going to shine. Do you agree with that at least? Is that heel Sasha is the best Sasha?
Oh my god, yeah. There's no question about it. Babyface Sasha is boring. Heel Sasha is so good on the mic in the ring. She's so good. She was great with Team Bad. She was great as the boss in NXT. I hope we get to see her return to that boss character because she needs it.
Yeah, I agree. And the man versus the boss kind of writes itself, doesn't it? So we're gonna have some fun with that. I brought up the fact that SmackDown I brought up the fact of Buddy Murphy being on SmackDown. He had a bit of a breakout performance on SmackDown. Now, I understand, Kevin, you haven't watched this match. I did. I would please encourage anybody that hasn't to go watch the Buddy Murphy Roman Reigns match because it was a breakout performance for this dude. Everyone knows how good Buddy is on 205 Live, but we didn't know if he could hang with the big boys in a sense. And he can. There's no question about it. Roman made him look like $1 million, and he did a flip out of a spear, so you really can't hate on it too much. But man, it was damn. Mwah, I just loved it, and I'm obviously a big Buddy Murphy fan. I seen that man win the Cruiserweight Championship live, and it was holy shit. If there was a roof on the Melbourne Cricket Ground, there wouldn't be any more because we would have blown it off. It was a really cool moment. So I'm happy to see Buddy Murphy on my screen. Did you know that's the first Australian male to wrestle on SmackDown Live since Nathan Jones?
Nathan Jones? Jesus.
Yeah. I believe it was the first time in, I think, 15 years that an Australian man has wrestled on SmackDown Live. I'm like, damn. Cool stuff. Nathan Jones Nathan Jones fucking sucked, by the way. For so long, I had to sit around and be like, Nathan Jones is the only representative they've ever had of Australia in WWE, and he was terrible.
Yeah, Nathan Jones sucked.
He was, not great. So, tops to you, buddy, because you did well. The only other thing I want to talk about is Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Rowan. They all, they're trying to murder Roman Reigns, I guess. They said, buddy, I lied, blah blah blah. They got him to say he lied, and Bryan says that next week he's going to bring the person that did this to Roman Reigns. He did some his own investigations. He found him, and he's going to bring this person. Well, he didn't say him, but bring this person to SmackDown Live next week. It ended with that, and it kind of was like we've been having these cliffhanger endings to WWE programming, at least on the SmackDown side with this whole Roman stuff, actually giving us a reason to tune in next week, which is something I like. Something that wrestling doesn't do often enough is cliffhanger endings. Now, I think we know where the story's going. Well, at least I think we know where it's going. Bryan did this in some way, shape, or form, and we're going to get Bryan and Roman. But what about if it is somebody else? Who is Bryan bringing next week, or is he bringing anybody?
I can't see him bringing anybody. I can't give you a name that could possibly have done this other than Bryan or Rowan. It just makes sense. It's good. It's good business. Bryan and Reigns is a match we've seen before, and it was really good, and we know that it'll be really good again. And it's just Bryan is operating at such a high level. It would be almost a shame to take that spot away from him.
Yeah, and we've seen Bryan and Roman work, a couple of times in the past, and it was, remember that match, 2015, Fastlane? They had an incredible match going into WrestleMania 31, and it was really, really fun. More of this, and especially as a heel Bryan. Heel Bryan is I love, my God, and I love Rowan, okay? I'm on the Rowan bandwagon at this point. He just does his role well. He plays off of Brian really well. I don't know. I know he's just like could be looked at as a typical big man, but he plays off of Brian really well. So I don't know. Just a lot of fun stuff with that, and I like that storyline because it does feel different.
Yeah, no, it does. It has a unique feel to it, and I'm with you. I love Rowan. I think Rowan is more than just your average big man. I think I love like the intellectual gimmick he's working. I love the band t-shirts he wears. He does little things like that to stand out, and they work.
Yeah. What a fun week, honestly. Going from Takeover to... What a fun 4 days, I should say. Going from Takeover to SmackDown. Just really cool because it's going to be a different 4 days this time next year for SummerSlam. We're just a couple of months out from SmackDown going to Fox, so it's going to be, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday instead of Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it's going to be a different 4 days over the big four pay-per-views, which is going to be really weird starting off your wrestling weekend with SmackDown instead of ending it with SmackDown. But not a complaint. I actually like the flow of a Saturday to Tuesday for me instead of a Sunday to Wednesday for me. Anyway, but yeah, it's just we're very much edging close up to SmackDown on Fox. They announced that there's going to be a SmackDown 20th anniversary special, so they're just going to load that show up with a whole lot of legends, which is probably what you need for the first episode on Fox to get the ratings to really be like booming and popping.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting time for wrestling. We got All Out in just a couple of weeks. It's 2 weeks from this weekend. So, man, we've got a lot to look forward to. AEW on TNT is coming up, which they still haven't announced for Australian television yet. So, it's getting a little bit late to announce any new programming coming onto Australian TV. So, I don't know if we're going to get it. But, of course, I'm still going to get my eyes on it in some way, shape, or form. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. It's just I enjoyed these last few days of wrestling. I thought it really did deliver. Toronto's a fantastic wrestling city. Just putting that out there. They should have more shows in Toronto. Just saying.
They should. Toronto is an electric town. Yep. We saw it at WrestleMania 18 at the Sky Dome. We saw it last night. We saw it back at the first NXT TakeOver at Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
And that's that following Survivor Series. It's a great town. And we honestly should do more. We should do more up there. Canada's a great wrestling country.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Canada's always been fun. Montreal obviously has some infamous ring to it for other reasons. But
oh, yeah.
Toronto is my dream city. I think I've made that relatively clear on this show and as well as on my Twitter. Toronto is my dream city. I want to go to Toronto. I want to live there. I want to just be in Toronto all the time. So if anyone could hook me up, I want to go to Toronto. I don't know, bring you a beer or something. I don't know. It's just cool. Cool. What a weekend. What a cool little... what a way to kill an hour for us just talking about this. It is cool to be able to like fill an hour without even realizing that we've been talking for an hour. As I'm looking at my timer, I'm like, oh, we've been talking for nearly an hour just about the cool stuff that happened over the last 4 days, which is cool to say because you can't always do that even with big four pay-per-view weekends. Not all of them, hit it out of the park. So it's cool to have this happen. And SummerSlam was just great. Takeover was great. Raw and SmackDown were really cool, and onto the King of the Ring, what's the next pay-per-view? Clash of Champions. Clash of Champions. So all the titles, I guess, will be defended at that show.
Every title is on the line.
Cool. Well, that will do it for this week on Wrestling Reverb. We will be back next week. Kevin is going to be back next week as well. Don't worry. He's not going away. He's not going to be here every other week. He's just been busy with his new job. We still love him. Don't worry. So he's going to be back. And it's just, yeah, what a cool stuff. Check out Summerslam, August 24th, BBR, twitch.tv/BBRTV. Check all that out. Make sure you rate this podcast 5 stars on iTunes. Give us a follow. All the good stuff. Write us a review on iTunes. It all helps with that beautiful algorithm crap. So help with us and, help us help you kind of deal. If you do this kind of stuff, we can keep producing wonderful wrestling content every single week. We will catch you guys next week. Peace out.